Okay, today I'm going to show you how to field strip or disassemble the Canik Mete MC9 firearm for cleaning purposes. So first, we want to unload the firearm. Remove the magazine first. Always lock the slide to the rear. Make sure there's no round in the chamber and no magazine in the gun. Now that it's unloaded, close it back up. All right, next we want to press the trigger to release any tension on the striker. So we see the striker is cocked. So now that you're 100% sure the gun is unloaded, point the gun in a safe direction, press the trigger. All right, now we're ready to remove the slide. The manual says to just pull these takedown levers. There's one on each side. You want to grab it like this and pull them both down at the same time. And you can do it this way, but there's a lot of tension still on the takedown lever from the recoil spring. So you can just press this down real hard and it will release, but I find it so much easier. Grab the gun like this, pull the slide back just a little bit like that to take tension off of the takedown levers. Then grab them both on both sides, pull them down as far as they go, release the slide, push it forward just a little bit, and the slide lifts right up off the gun. It does not slide all the way off like most other guns do. All right, and now turn the slide over, remove the recoil spring and guide rod by pressing on this end of the guide rod. Press it in this direction just a little bit, lift it up, and that comes out. Now you can lift up the barrel, slide it forward a little, and then pull the barrel right out like that. And now you are disassembled or field stripped for cleaning. If you found this video helpful, please hit like below, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to clean your Canik Mete MC9 Micro Compact pistol in 4 easy steps. Cleaning a gun like this may be daunting if you've never done it before, but it's really pretty simple. We just want to separate the pieces by field stripping the gun, cleaning each piece, adding a little lube, and putting it back together. All we really need to clean this gun is a good CLP, which is a cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. I use original gun oil because it's non-toxic and it doesn't stink up the place. You'll need some cotton patches that are appropriate for your caliber. In this case, it's 9mm. Some cotton rags, which is just a cut-up t-shirt. These 2 items come with the gun. This is a bore brush to clean the inside of the barrel. This is a rod to help push some patches through the barrel. I like to use a gun brush with a small and a large brush on it, as well as some cotton swabs. And I like these. They have a pointy end and a regular end for getting in the different areas of the gun. Optionally, you could use a bore snake. I use a Hobby's 9mm bore snake. That helps cut down the time cleaning the barrel. And if your barrel is super dirty, you could opt for using a solvent such as Hobby's number 9 instead of the CLP for the cleaning part. I like to keep mine in a solvent dispenser. Just press this down and it brings up a little bit of solvent to the top so it doesn't contaminate the rest. All right, let's get started. Disassembling or field stripping the pistol. So first, always make sure that the gun is completely unloaded. Remove the magazine, lock the slide to the rear, make sure there is no round in the chamber and no magazine in the firearm. All right, release the slide. Once you verify that the gun is completely unloaded, point it in a safe direction, press the trigger to release the striker. Hold the gun like this, pull the slide back just a little bit like that so you can pull the takedown levers down. The takedown lever on both sides. Hold them both down, push the slide forward just a little bit, and it'll lift up off of the gun. Turn the slide upside down, put pressure on the recoil spring and guide rod to bring it up like that. Remove that. Now the barrel will also lift out of the slide. All right, that was step 1. Let's move on to step 2. We're going to clean each piece of the firearm. So let's start with the slide. There's a couple of ways you can clean the slide on any handgun. If it's not very dirty, you could just take a dry brush and kind of brush it out, get everywhere that there's a little bit of residue, and you could be done with it at that point. But I like to clean mine pretty well. So there's a couple ways to do that. If you have some kind of a gun solvent like a Hobby's number 9, you can just simply get some cotton swabs, take your time. I use a dispenser, but you can just dip it into your container. Just go in and clean all the surfaces with your solvent, and then when you're done that, get a dry swab and dry it off and remove all that solvent, and you're going to get the dirt up that way. So that's one way to do it. The way I like to do it, I'll take some original gun oil and I'll just put a couple of drops in there, and then I'll take a brush and just spread that around. Spread that around to all the surfaces, especially in the slide cuts along the inside of the slide, because this is where it slides back and forth on the frame. Get all the surfaces wet with the gun oil. Let it sit for a few minutes, and then use a cotton rag to wipe everything down. This will get all the gun oil off and all the dirt, and then just wipe it that way. Now you can't get into really tight spaces with just a cloth, so what I do is I lay the cloth over there and use the brush, and the brush bristles will push the cloth down into all the tight spaces. And this is just going to help get all the dirty oil and all the residue out of there. Okay. That works pretty well, and then you're going to finish it up with a cotton swab. Just get into all the tight spots with a cotton swab. You especially want to get into the slide cuts on both sides. Make sure that they're nice and clean. Just get all the rest of the oil wiped up until it's all clean inside. Just one word of caution is this is the breech face here. This hole is where the firing pin comes in and out, so you don't want to drip any oil into this hole. It's okay to get some on the surface, and then you just want to make sure you get that nice and clean. Okay, so when you're done cleaning the slide, it should look somewhat like this. This is pretty clean. Okay, now we just want to do the outside of the slide. Take one drop of CLP on a rag, and then just kind of wipe down the outside of the slide with a little tiny bit of oil. That's going to clean it up pretty nice. Get the front here. This looks real nice. Alright, let's move on to cleaning the barrel. I'm just going to show you the inside of the barrel here, zoomed in. You got a little bit of crud build up in there, so we're going to get that all cleaned up. The Canik manual tells you to clean the barrel by taking the included brush or a 9mm brush, dampen it with some CLP, and then we're going to push it through back and forth. Get some CLP in there to start loosening up the dirt. Then we're going to take the cleaning rod, and you're going to want to get some 9mm cleaning patches, which are 2 inches by 2 inches for most cotton cleaning patches. Put that through the cleaning rod, push that through a bunch of times. Alright, that's not too bad. I'm going to clean the brush off a little bit. I'm going to put a little more CLP on the brush, and then we're going to do it again a couple of times. Take another rag, feed it through the loop, force that through there, and just repeat that until it comes out pretty clean. That's not too bad. I'm going to call that good. Take another look through the barrel here. Alright, that's looking real good. Alright, after you're done cleaning the inside of the barrel, wipe down the outside of the barrel real good. Make sure you clean the feed ramp here. Very important. That's where the rounds get pushed up into the barrel when you're shooting it. That's looking good. And that's all we need to do with the barrel. Recoil spring and guide rod. What I usually do for these is just get a brush and just brush them clean real quick. It doesn't hurt to put one tiny little drop of oil just to get a little residue of gun oil on there. And that's all you need to do. That's it for the recoil spring and guide rod. As far as the magazines go, all you really need to do is give these a good visual inspection. Make sure they're clean, wipe them down. If you've dropped it in dirt or gravel, you're going to want to take it apart and clean it from the inside out. And I have linked a video up here that shows how to do that, and I'll link it down in the description as well, how to take this apart and give it a good thorough cleaning. But for now, as long as it looks nice and clean and the follower is working and there's nothing stuck up in the feed lips in the top here, you're good to go. Now we're going to clean the frame. So on the frame, you have a couple of options here. If it's not too dirty, you can just brush it with a soft nylon brush, clean it out that way, get any residue off that you want. Or if it's a little bit dirtier, you can use your dispenser and your solvent to kind of clean it up with a swab and then wipe it off with a dry swab. Or you can use my gun oil CLP method, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to put a couple of drops, not a lot, just a couple of drops in here, and just kind of spread those cleaning drops around a little bit inside the mechanism. Get down inside there a little bit. Just kind of get things kind of wet with the solvent. Then take a rag and dry that off. Try and get all that sobbing off that you just put on there. And again, to get down into the tight spaces, you can use your brush to kind of push the rag down in there. To get the tight spaces, get your cotton swab in there. Just clean it until you get all the residue off of there. That looks real good. On the exterior, you can do like we did on the slide. Just take 1 drop of CLP on a rag. Just kind of wipe the exterior. Anywhere you see some residue, unburned powder, that kind of stuff. Just keep wiping it till you get it nice and clean. Looks like we got this pretty clean. Alright, so now let's move on to step 3, which is lubrication. The Canik Mete MC9 does not need a lot of lubrication. So the manual just says to put a light coating of CLP on the rails and a couple other places. So I'm just going to put a drop of CLP on a rag, and I'm going to put some on the rails, these 4 rails here. That's where the slide moves back and forth. I'm just going to wipe them with a little CLP to make sure there's some lube on there. The trigger bar, which is this whole piece here, I would also get a little coating on there, and all the other metal parts in here I would just lightly coat them with a little CLP just so everything's got a little coating on it. So that's about it for the frame. Now the slide, we want to do the same. What I would do in these slide cuts here where it slides along the frame, I would put one tiny, like a half a drop of oil in each slide. Take a brush and just run it up and down, and then I would take a rag and wipe off all the excess. Just wanted to get some in there. Then I would do the same right here, put a drop in there and just kind of lightly wipe it off to leave the residue on there. And down in here where the barrel slides around, put a drop and then just kind of wipe them away, just leaving a little residue there. Alright, and a little bit around here where the barrel slides through. And that is about it for lubrication. It also recommends wiping the outside of the slide with a little bit of oil. Again, I would just put a little bit on a rag. You don't want it to be slippery, but you do want a little corrosion resistance, so I would just the tiniest bit on the outside like that, and you should be good to go as far as lubrication. Alright, now we're going to move on to step 4, which is reassembly. So it's pretty simple to reassemble. Hold the slide upside down, hold the barrel in this orientation, drop the barrel in so it sits just like that. The recoil spring and guide rod goes in this way. This side goes into the hole in the front. Then put a little tension on it and let it sit down right in the notch there. So it's sitting just like that, parallel to the slide. The Canik Mete MC9 goes together a little differently. Most semi-automatics, you put the slide on all the way from the front and you slide it back. This one goes on about midway. So you want to line up this little notch here with this rail. So line them up like that until that sits on just like that with no gap here, and then just run it straight back all the way and forward again. Now you're all together. Your slide should work just like that. Okay, now you are all set. Your gun is all clean in 4 easy steps. The next thing is to do a quick function and safety check. There really isn't one in the Canik manual for this gun, but I'll have a video that I'll link to in the description and up above here on how to do a couple of quick checks to make sure that your gun is operating properly. Alright, if you found this video helpful, please hit like below, please subscribe, please check out the description for all the products that we used in the video, and thanks for watching. How to reassemble your Canik Mete MC9 handgun after cleaning or disassembling for any reason. It's a very straightforward process. You want to just take your slide, hold it upside down, take your barrel this way, drop it into the slide, lock it in place. Next we're going to take your recoil spring and guide rod assembly. This black side goes toward the front, this side goes toward the back. Just press it into the hole there. Put a little bit of pressure toward the front to compress it a little and lock it down. It locks down in a little notch in the barrel right down there. So it's going to end up being parallel to the edge of the slide. So it should look like that. Alright, and now we're going to put the slide onto the frame. So the Mete is a little bit different than most semi-automatics. Most semi-automatics, the slide starts here and you slide it all the way onto the gun. But this one is a little bit different. So what we want to do is line up. So there are two notches in the slide. As you can see right here, there's a little notch here, little notch here. Those need to line up with these rails on both sides of the frame. So that's simply done like this. And just lay the slide onto the frame and it will look like this. And all you need to do now is get a secure grip on the gun, run the slide, pressing down slightly toward the frame, run the slide all the way back and release it forward. And your takedown levers will lock it into place automatically. Run the slide a couple times, make sure it feels right. So now there's just a couple quick things to do to make sure it's put together properly. So first, even though we know it's unloaded, you always want to double check that your gun is unloaded before you press the trigger. So we're going to press the trigger. First we see that the striker is cocked. Press the trigger, it will release the striker, and hold the trigger back just like that. And while you're holding it back, run the slide all the way back and forward again to cock the striker again. And now gently let the trigger come forward till you hear the reset click, and then press the trigger again. It should release the striker again and then release the trigger. Alright, so that tells you that your trigger is working properly. Now you can also insert the magazine. Make sure that stays in until you press the magazine release before it comes out. Alright, so if you like this video, please hit like below. Thanks for watching and please subscribe. How to reverse the magazine release on your Canik Mete MC9. So the Mete MC9 comes with the mag release on the left side of the gun, which is for right-handed shooters. It is reversible, but there is no instruction in the manual that comes with it on how to do that. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. You're going to need a few basic tools, and dealing with the spring in this gun is really tricky. Please watch this entire video all the way through so you can see exactly what you're going to be dealing with. Don't beat me up in the comments. I'm warning you right now, this is tricky. So if you're not up for it, please do not attempt it. All right, so first, of course, we want to unload the weapon, make sure there's no magazine, no round in the chamber. Then we do want to remove the slide. First, you have to point the gun in a safe direction and release the striker. Pull the slide back slightly, pull the takedown pins down, push the slide slightly forward and lift up. So down inside is this funny looking spring here. You can see when you press the slide release, that spring, this is what locks into the magazine right here, this little piece. When you push the slide release, it moves to the side. So what we want to do is pull this spring out. Now the first time I did this, it launched across the room. I was lucky it landed right in front of me, actually, after bouncing off the ceiling and the wall. Is get the little pin punch that comes with the gun, put it down in here, lever it just upwards, right straight up out of the gun. Now it's going to fly out of the gun, so you want to put your hand over that. Latch it in there, just kind of lever that. Alright, and it fell out through the bottom here. Next, you just want to push the magazine release right out. Okay, so now we're going to reverse. The magazine catch was on this side. Now it's going to be turned around and it's going to go in this side, but we want to get the spring in before we do that. And it's going to end up sitting this way. The spring has two sides. This side, with a little bump in it there, goes into the bigger side on the magazine release. This goes. So if we're going to make this a left-handed gun, the spring needs to go back in with the bump side on the left side of the gun. And that is because the magazine catch is going to be sitting this way in the gun. Alright, so this is the tricky part. So we need to squeeze this together and get it back into this channel right here. Now I've done this a few times preparing for this video, and I have launched this spring all over this room. So what I found works pretty well, just get a long twisty tie or something and connect it to this spring. That way, if it goes launching across the room, the twisty tie will slow it down, as I've discovered it doesn't go nearly as far with this weight on it, and it'll be easier to find. I'm just going to get a pair of needle nose pliers, and all I want to do is squeeze this, and this is where it could go launching. It's hard to get a good grip on this spring, so you want to get a grip on the spring like this, and then you want to push it into this channel. Now it's not going to be easy, so make sure you have a lot of patience and make sure you put it in the right way, or you're going to be pretty annoyed to have to do it multiple times. Okay, once you get it into the channel, that's probably most of the battle right there. So now we want to slide it down a little bit further before we put the magazine catch in, but you need to be very careful not to let it pop out of that channel. So one thing you can do is put your finger in there and just kind of hold it on top like that to kind of help trap it in there. So while you have your finger over there, very carefully get a grip on that and just kind of work that down. That went down a little bit further. Alright, that is in perfect position. If I'm a left-handed shooter, I need a magazine catch over here, so we put it in this way on the right side of the gun. This other stuff here. Alright, so now we just need to slide that spring into those holes in the bottom there. Once again, you might want to put your finger over that. That can still pop out. Put your finger over that. Grab a hold. Just push that down a little further. Let me see. Alright, real good. That's almost in there. Just we need to twist it just a little bit. So once I get the tie wrap out of there, that's what it should look like right there, like that. So now when you press the magazine release, it moves back and forth. Okay, here is an alternate way to get the spring in there. I'm putting the magazine release in back into the right-handed side, back for normal use, because I do shoot right-handed. I am actually left-handed, but I do shoot right-handed. So with the magazine release out of there, I used a pipe cleaner this time to kind of keep this from flying away from me too far. So this is going to go in this way. We're going to use a different method to get this in here. So we're going to kind of set it in this way. We're going to have it in there low enough that we can access it from the side here. So it's going to look something like this. I'm going to have it sitting somewhat like this. So when it's sitting like that, you can actually take the pin punch that comes with the gun, put it through the hole in the side here. You have to make sure the top piece stays in the middle. Okay, once you get things kind of in place, you want to hold the spring. Okay, push in and down. Alright, once you get the spring in this position, you can see it through the hole, so it's too low. It has to be moved up higher. So we're going to be able to pull this pipe cleaner to slide that up, but you need to be very careful because it's going to want to pop out of that groove. Put your finger in there and press down, and then use the pipe cleaner. You can look in the side to see how high you need to go, and just gently pull with the pipe cleaner until the spring just disappears. Okay, once you get it in this position, just high enough, now we want to put the magazine release back in on the correct side. You want to line up the big hole underneath the longer leg of that spring. Once you get it here, we just need to push the spring down a little bit so that this longer leg ends up in that hole down there. So you need to do this very, very carefully. You get a grip on the top and you need to push straight down. So it goes like that. Beautiful. Now you just need to get the other leg, and you need to get the shorter leg into that hole. So to do that, you want to press down, and also you may need to move this a little bit back and forth, kind of line it up with that. This is pretty tricky. You just gotta be patient and just kind of press down a little, jiggle it slightly until it locks in like that. This is a difficult Alright, and once you have it in there, do a quick magazine test. And works great. Make sure the magazine doesn't come out until you press the magazine release. Now you can put your slide back on the top. And there you go. You have now made it a lefty handgun. If you like this video, please hit like below, please subscribe, and thanks for watching. If you've got a Canik Mete MC9 and you have disassembled it or reassembled it for cleaning purposes, and you made a mistake, which a lot of people are going to make, and that is you put the slide on wrong and you got it stuck. So the problem here is that the Canik Mete goes back together slightly different than most other firearms. Most firearms, like Glock and a lot of the other popular ones, you would reassemble the slide to the frame by sliding it on like this. Then you would just slide it back onto the frame like so. Well, you'll see if you try and do that on a Canik Mete, you're going to hit the ejector. So you're like, oh, that's right, this goes on differently. So you go to take it off, and now it's stuck. You can't get it off. So this is a simple problem to fix. All you need to do is press down on this right here, and the slide comes right off. Now, if you happen to get it stuck further back, which I have done somehow, so if you get it stuck here, and you can't get it forward enough to access that piece of metal to push it down, you can still push it down. You just have to go a little bit further back, and you're going to need like the pin punch that comes with it. So if you can see, you can still access that lever right here. So if we go here and push it down and push the slide off, see what you're doing is pushing this down like that. That's all you need to do. Now you can put it on the correct way, which is you line up these notches with these little rails here like this. Put the slide on at this point before you go back, and that's how you do it. Alright, if you like this video, please hit like below, please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Today I want to show you how to disassemble and clean a Canik Mete MC9 magazine. You don't need to clean the magazine too often. If you find that it's dirty, or if you've actually dropped it out on the range in some dirt or gravel, you're going to want to get it opened up and clean all that out to make sure that it feeds properly. In order to disassemble the magazine, first thing we need to do is take the base plate off, and to do that you need to push this button down. However, on the Canik Mete MC9, the button does not just push straight down. There's a little bit of a lip on the edge that you can't see right now that's holding this button from going in too easily. So we just need to push the button forward toward the front of the magazine and then push it down while applying some pressure to the back, and it'll come off like that. If you see in here, there's a little lip there on the bottom that the button kind of holds on to, so it makes it a little harder for the base plate to come off. So I found a couple different ways. If you don't want to use your fingernails to get this off, you can use a regular screwdriver with a small blade. You just got to push that forward and then kind of push it down, and you can do it that way. Okay, another way that I found is to use the tool that comes with the MC9. You can use this little bit holder in the front, and what I did was get ready to press on the back a little. Just kind of fit this in at an angle, press the button forward, and then press down, and then push the base plate forward like that. So you can do that. Now when you take the base plate off, make sure you keep your thumb or a finger over top here, because that spring is going to force this piece out. So as you can see, the button actually has a hook on the side, and that hook fits onto that shelf in the bottom there. That's what holds it together. Alright, so to clean it, you just pull this out. Everything stays together on here. You can take it apart, but there's really no need. If you do take it apart, I'll just show you here how it's supposed to look in case you've already got it apart and you need to know how it goes back together. Just kind of pops in the bottom like that. So it should look like this. So basically, you just want to pop this out, just wipe everything down with a dry cloth. If the follower is really dirty, you could use a little CLP or something on it, but make sure you wipe all that off when you're done so that you don't get any oil or anything on the ammo when it's in here. And then just wipe down your spring as needed with the cloth, wipe down the base plate, and then very important, I usually just take some cloths and kind of shove them through the magazine, and that'll kind of clean the inside. You can do that a couple of times. Clean the inside out, make sure that's nice and smooth, and then you can put it back together. So it goes back together with the follower. The follower has a little shelf right here on one side. It's not on the other side, it's only on this side, and that goes into this notch. So you want to put it in this way. That little shelf, this is actually what causes your gun to lock open when your magazine is empty. So then it's just a matter of pressing the spring down. Make sure you don't point it at your face. Make sure you wear eye protection for this. You'll hold that down below the level here. The MC9 also comes with this little bit of an enhanced base plate to give you a little more grip with your pinky, which I actually like. So I've actually been meaning to put that on. So I'm going to put this base plate on. Fits just like the other one. So just line it up. We're going to line it up on the slots on both sides, and then you just need to press the spring down far enough to get the base plate over it, like that. Press it all the way on, and the button will pop into place. Alright, that's all there is to it, putting it back together. If you want to test this out, what I like to do to make sure the magazine is running properly, I get some snap caps. These are A-Zoom snap caps. They're basically just fake ammunition. They're the exact same size as 9mm. I want to make sure everything is working perfectly before I go to the range or before I carry my carry gun. Load 5 of them into the magazine. Make sure your gun is unloaded and clear of real ammunition. Load the dummy rounds into the gun. So we're going to simulate firing the gun by racking the slide briskly 5 times, and each time I rack it, it will extract and eject one of these dummy rounds, and after the last round is ejected, the slide should lock back on the empty magazine. So here we go. Alright, it worked perfectly. All the rounds were ejected and the slide locked back. Alright, thanks for watching the video. If you found it helpful, please hit like below, please subscribe, and check out the description. I have a link down there for dummy rounds if you want to pick some of these up. And thanks again for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to change the backstrap on your Canik Mete MC9 in case you want to change the size of the grip. The Canik MC9 comes with 2 extra backstraps. So it looks like the small backstrap comes mounted on the gun, at least that's what mine did. If you look in here, there's an M for medium and then an L for large. If you've got long fingers and you need a bigger backstrap on here, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's real simple. To change the backstrap, you just need to push the roll pin out of this hole here. And the Canik MC9 does come with a tool just to do that. This is just a push pin tool that you can use to push this out, and I'll show you that in a minute. If you don't have this, you could use a pin punch, probably about a 5/32 would fit in here real nice, and you can use a hammer to tap that pin out. You could also use the hammer on this if it's kind of tight. And in order to push it out, I have this little, it's called a bench block. This is useful for pushing pins out. So you can set it on here, it doesn't mar the finish, and you can use it to push the pin down through the hole. You could also just put it on the edge of a table. You could actually even use the Canik case, just put it on the edge of the case and push it through that way. So I'm going to show you how I did this using this Real Avid Smart Bench Block. So I'm going to remove the slide. I'm going to show that it's unloaded. Put it in a safe direction and press the trigger to release the striker. I'm going to remove the slide, since it's very easy to remove the slide, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier to handle this. So I'm just going to set this down lined up with one of these holes. So just line up the tool perpendicular with the pin, hold everything securely, and just push the pin straight down through. Now that does take a bit of effort, but your pin is going to come out like that. You just pull it out. Backstrap lifts right off, and yeah, that's the small. If you do it with a pin punch and a hammer, something like this, nice and easy. And then just pull it off like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the medium on there. Really simple. Put it on and just start the pin. Make sure you're pressing straight down and just kind of work it down a little bit. Takes a fair amount of pressure. That's not quite centered. We want to go down a little bit more than that. Alright, that's probably pretty good right there. A little bit of a burr there. So that is good to go. Alright, so that's how you change the backstrap on your Canik Mete. Yeah, it feels a little bit better. Very small change, but it does fit my hand pretty comfortably. Alright, if you like this video, please hit like below. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Today we're going to try to fix the Canik Mete MC9 to fix the magazine release issue, where the magazine does not fall free out of the gun with the magazine release. So I had a video on this before. I already tried to sand the inside a little bit and it made it a little bit better, but it really has not solved the problem. It seems that these sides are so flexible that if you just squeeze these a little, then the magazine's not going to come out anymore after that. So I have read and heard that if you put painter's tape around the magazine and force it in there and then heat it up with a heat gun, well, I'm going to use a hair dryer. This is a Conair 1875. It's an old one. I'm borrowing it from my wife. She gave me the blessing to go ahead and do that. And we're going to painter's tape around the magazine. We're going to put it in and we're going to heat the gun up to see if that solves the problem. So this gun is empty as I'm showing you here. So let's get to it. Okay, so it seems that my 15 round magazine is a little bit tighter in the gun. So I'm going to use this one for this experiment. So I'm not sure how the other people did it, but I'm gonna do it this way rather than wrap it around the magazine, because I figure it will go up and down without binding, without the edges of the tape binding. So we're gonna see how this goes. Should probably make it a little. I don't think it binds in the front at all, so I don't think I'm going to tape the front. I'm just going to tape the sides a little bit here. I think it binds along the back edges right here. I think that's where it's probably binding the most. So I'm going to do one more piece of tape right along this back edge here. Try to make it nice and smooth so it still goes into the gun. All right. Okay, let's see. This still goes into the gun. Oh, it's pretty tight. I'm going to go ahead and take the slide off of this. Just make sure that the hot air has a place to flow. So I'm going to move the slide away. That way we can get heat down in from both ends. So let's go ahead and turn this up to high. Alright, that's been a couple of minutes. I'm just going to let that cool, and then we'll see if it's any better.
If you carry a firearm or any other weapon for self-defense, you need to be prepared for the legal battle that is likely to follow a self-defense incident. Even if you are defending yourself or others, you are likely to be arrested and go through an expensive and difficult legal process while the court determines that you are the good guy. I recommend Firearms Legal Protection. FLP offers a few different membership options. All plans provide excellent legal protection and don't force you to bundle your protection service with a bunch of other stuff you don't need. Their motto says it all. Protect yourself. We'll protect you. Save some money on your protection plan by using my coupon code in the description of this video.
Alright, it's been cooling for quite a few minutes here. Let's see if there's any change. It's pretty hard to get out. Alright. Well, so far, Man, that's pretty good. Wow, I'm actually amazed. That works really well. Alright, I'm going to untape this. So you might want to leave the little latch that holds the magazine in place. Don't put tape over that, it'll go in and out a lot easier. If it didn't work well enough, we'll just do it again. Wow. This one never came out. Alright, so let's make sure it works with everything set up the way it should be. Wow. Alright, I think this is definitely the fix. Wow. Alright guys, give this a shot. It didn't really get all that hot. My gun is fine. Nothing looks melted. I don't think it was anywhere near hot enough to actually melt this polymer, but it softened it up a little, I think. Really good results. Alright, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit like below. Check out the description below for some more videos on the Canik MC9, and thank you for watching.